Hey there, and welcome to Pitch Me Moms. I'm so excited about today. We are here, obviously, to help you get better at your business and your life so that you can achieve all the success that you're looking for and that you deserve. And today, we're going to talk about how to turn your hobby into a career. And more specifically, we're going to talk about how to monetize your blog. I've received thousands of emails about this topic. So many people love writing, but they don't really understand how to turn it into a business. And so we're going to talk about that today. So for those of you who work from home and want this, we're going to save you lots of time and money because monetizing a blog isn't easy. And it's a lot harder if you don't know what you're doing. But you are in luck today because we have the awesome mommy blogger, Katie Crenshaw, with us. And she went from launching a blog, for fun, born of her passion for her family, to getting 50 to 100,000 views per month and now making money on it every month. So I'm really excited to talk about this. And I was thinking about this. I had my own, it's such good timing, writing breakthrough this week. Something really extraordinary happened to me last week. I was taking a bath, which is a completely unheard of thing when you're a mom, because you cannot take a peaceful bath. That is a complete luxury. But I was taking a bath, and I had set my 3-year-old up in front of a Disney movie in her room, which I know, like, go ahead, yell at me about it, but thank you, Walt Disney, I actually got some peace, right? And sometimes you need that. And it was crazy because for 30 minutes I took a bath and she was watching this. And then I heard this noise and I snuck out to see what the noise was, because it was that, oh my gosh, everything is just a little bit too quiet kind of no noise. And so I peeked out, and there in the second half of my bathroom, because there's like a little, what do you call the little pocket door between the sink and the tub. So I open up the pocket door, and there is my daughter squatted over the basin, pooping in the sink. And I'm literally like, what are you doing? And she's like all squatted over, literally spread eagled over the basin, and she looks up at me like, duh, Mom, and she says, I'm pooping, Mom. I said, I know what you're doing. Why are you doing that? Meanwhile, she's 3, and we're having this fully, sense-filled conversation. And she says, Mom, you were in the bathroom. So this is where I chose to go. And so that night, I'm not going to give you all the details because it's going to be in this blog article that I did, because I want to share with you this breakthrough that I had, which was that when you write, it has to be real, and it has to excite and inspire and move and touch you. And I realized that I was bored with my blogs, which is kind of an embarrassing admission and confession, because this is what I do all the time, is write and try to move, touch, and inspire my audience. And I was like, my stuff is boring. And I sat down. This event was so crazy that I just got completely inspired to write. So I started to write. And the more I was writing, the more I was laughing at the situation. And then I had this other breakthrough about this was, at first I was mad at her, but then I had this new perspective, of she had to poop and Mom was in the bathroom. And so she thought about it. She could have gone in her pants, she could have gone on the floor, but no, she chose this basin that resembled a toilet. I mean, if you really think about it, it was pretty smart. And so I had this whole revelation, and I'm typing in, writing out all my thoughts, and I realized this is probably my most favorite blog that I've ever written, and I hope that you'll like it. It's not out yet. It's going to be out this week. But it was filled with truth. And it was filled with authenticity, and I was speaking from my heart. I wasn't trying to be funny. I wasn't trying to do anything other than talk about this realization that I had about how we can shift our perspective in order to see things differently. And so I'll share all of that in the post. But it was something that I wanted to bring up with you today, because we're going to talk about blogging and how to monetize your blog. And I think that one of my biggest realizations is that authentic truth, really talking from your heart, moving, touching, and writing about what moves, touches, and inspires and humors you is the stuff that moves, touches, and inspires everybody else. And I'm sure Katie's going to talk all about that with us today. But I just wanted to share that with you because it was a really big breakthrough for me. So Katie is here, and she is awesome. And I am so excited that she's here because let me tell you a little bit about her before I bring her on. She is the mom of 2 incredible children. She is a wife to her husband, who she calls her best friend. And she mothers through trial and error like the rest of us. But I think the thing that I think personally makes Katie so fabulous and well-loved is that she's willing to share her life's wins and her losses with us. And she does this through her blog called 12 and 6. It's the 12 and 6 blog. If you don't know about it, you have to check it out. You may already know her through her famous family and daughter, Charlie, because Katie, through her blog, has spoken out about the importance of celebrating our differences rather than pitying people for their differences. And so for those of you who don't know, Katie's daughter, Charlie, has a birthmark that's called a capillary, and excuse my pronunciation if I say it wrong, hemangioma, which is on her face. And her story is so incredible. And more importantly, Katie's position on the subject is what's really incredible. And so since she got out there and shared this with people, she's been featured on the Huffington Post, BuzzFeed, The Mighty, Good Morning America, The Today Show, Pop Sugar, Good Housekeeping, Redbook, Yahoo, the New York Post, Daily Mail, Cosmo, Fox News. If you haven't heard about it, you need to. It's touching, it's inspiring, it's brave. So check her out, Katie Crenshaw. All you have to do is do a search on her. And her 12 and 6 blog, 12and6blog.com. She is just so honest and transparent and funny. And she's turned her blog into a business, something that I know many of you want to do. And that's primarily what we're going to talk about today. So let's do that. Katie, thank you so much for being here today.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm really happy that you're here too. I thought that maybe one of the first things that's kind of going through everybody's mind is, why you even started a blog. Like before you started your blog, I know that you were feeling a certain way, and I'll let you talk more about that. What was going on with you before you launched this blog?
So Charlie is my second child, and she was born in August of last year. And I did not stay at home with my son. I worked full-time, actually, and I'm the first to admit that I needed to work full-time because I was like, I'm not cut out to be a stay-at-home mom. Like, I can't do that. It's too much, So this time around, I was kind of afforded the option to stay home. And
Katie, before you continue, why did you feel like you even had to apologize for that? I mean, why did you know that you needed to stay, that working was better for you as a mom?
I know myself well enough to know that I don't have very much patience, and I'm not extremely overly maternal, I guess. And so at that time in my life with Grayson, I knew for sure that working was best, and I did kind of need to work more then. So I was just honest with myself that even though I was choosing to stay home this time, it's a totally different phase in my life. It's been 7 years since Grayson was home. Maybe it'd be different. I know myself well enough to know that I was going to need outlets, and I was going to need to maintain my identity because I have a really strong identity outside of being a mother, and I was afraid to lose it. So I decided to start blogging because 2 things I really have always loved are photography and writing, and I've always done them for fun. And I had a blog years ago that was really lame, but I kind of dabbled in blogging.
Hold on, what was it called?
Oh no, I can't even tell you because then you'll look it up, and I'm not sure if it's set to private. It was called Katie and Company or something. It was really more for family, updates on what's going on in our life and stuff like that. It wasn't like mine now.
Why did you think it was lame?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. My writing back then, I don't know. I think you always look back at your past stuff and you're like, I'm not sure if that was any good.
Yeah, but don't you think that was one of the steps that got you to be a better blogger today?
Definitely. And I remembered when I decided to start this blog, I remembered times when people would say, I mean, I had a very small following of friends and family, but I had friends that would say, like, I can't wait for your blogs. Like, I love to read how you write, like,
Yeah.
so people, I was always honest. I mean, I always maintained that, like, I talked about everything through my other
Yeah,
blogs.
but I think it's easy for us to judge, but at the same time, and I know that this is going to be, part of being able to monetize a blog or even start a business is to allow yourself to be able to practice to get good at it, right? I mean, most people on my podcast know, you might not know this, but I was supposed to launch a YouTube channel like 3 years ago, and I didn't because I had a baby, and I totally used that as an excuse because I didn't, to be quite honest, I was totally afraid of making a complete fool out of myself. And the reality is that, whatever, 3 months ago, I started a blog. I mean, I not started a blog. 3 months ago, I started the YouTube channel, and now I've shot like 220 videos. So now I'm not nervous about it, and I'm putting it out there. I probably still look foolish, but if you look at some of those first ones, they are embarrassingly bad. But I'm just celebrating it.
Absolutely. That's how I roll.
So when you, so it's not that you were in so much pain when you started the blog. It sounds like where you were was, I'm going to stay home with my second one. I love my kids, but I know myself and I've got to maintain my own identity. I have to have a hobby or something that I can call my own.
Right. And it was very important to me that the first thing I did was name the blog, and it was weeks of naming the blog, and I consulted friends, and I was like, I didn't, like, no offense to other mommy bloggers, but I didn't want a name that was like the blah 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 mom or like the whatever mommy or like, I didn't want to label myself as like a mom blogger because I'm a mom and that's part of my life, but that will change in so many different facets over the years, and so much of my blog is about so many things.
Yeah, but that's interesting. Are you judging mommy bloggers?
No, not at all, because that's their niche. If they want that to be their niche, but I didn't want to narrow myself to that, and I also wanted single women with no kids to know that they could get something out of my blog too, just because they're not a mommy. They can find something.
So you were branding, you wanted to distinguish yourself.
Yeah.
And that's part of that branding element is really part of having a successful blog, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and at the same time, my kids are my priority and they're number one. So 12 and 6 are actually the hours of the day that they were born. But nobody would know that. You wouldn't just go to my blog and be like, oh, this is obviously all about babies. Like, that's not really my goal.
Right. Okay. So were you nervous that you were going to stink at this? I mean, you had one blog that you didn't even want to talk about. So when you launched 12 and 6, did you ever have those moments of, what if people don't like my stuff? Like I literally, when I launched my YouTube channel, I realized that my biggest fear of all was that people weren't going to like me.
Yeah. Well, I didn't, okay, in the beginning, I did not realize I would have much of a following. I hadn't thought that far ahead. My biggest fear in the beginning was worrying that I would uncommit because I'm a very air sign. Like, I have so many great ideas and like so many things I love to do and so many things I want to learn to do. So I was like, I just hope that I stick with this and like, it turns out to, because sometimes when you put your passion into a job or something you feel like you have to do,
yeah,
it psychologically makes me like run the other direction because I'm like, I'm not going to do this because I don't have to do it.
Yeah.
So I didn't, I wanted it to still be fun. I was worried it would stop being fun and that writing and photography would like start to feel like a job, like that I didn't like.
That is so interesting. I'm just thinking to myself, accountability is such a big piece of being successful. And that was like your biggest fear. Like, am I going to be consistent with this? How did you get through that? Because now it's been, what, a year and a half?
No, it's only been, I just started in November. So.
Oh, that's right. Oh my gosh. So it's not that far in. So it's not even a year.
A year, yeah.
Okay, so now do you feel like you have done enough that you're in this now?
I do, and I unlike some other things I've jumped into wanting to learn how to do and dabble in. I really did take some time before I launched to think about what I wanted it to be and learn a lot and things like that. So I did feel like I went into this with, accountability, and it has never felt. I mean, obviously, anything is stressful that you care about, especially when it's like your own business. But I've never felt like, oh, this is work and I don't enjoy it anymore. Like ever, I love it so much. Like every day, like I'm always like, I hope I can do this forever. And I love looking at bloggers who have done this forever and think, okay, this can be forever. Like people are doing this, I can do it.
Right. So, do you think that belief in yourself is a big piece of this?
Yeah. Well, more so not being afraid to fail, which is kind of like my life mantra anyway. Just
Go for it.
just go for it. Yeah, just jump.
Yeah, and you've had some interesting things happen, which I want to talk about because, sometimes we can have negative things happen that could just completely throw us off. But I think I'd love to get a little background, though, on the actual blog itself before we go there so people really get what you've created here. So you knew that you loved writing, you knew you wanted to create your identity, and then you landed on your brand, so you've got this 12 and 6 blog. How did you build an audience? There's nothing worse than pouring your heart out, which, by the way, I am so sending you this blog post before I post it. I would love to get your feedback.
I'd love to see it. I'm so excited.
I know, right? Oh, it's my most favorite blog post that I've ever done. But I don't know, is anyone going to read it? And so I think that a lot of people who want to turn their blog into something have that same feeling. So how did you actually build an audience? I mean, it's one thing to have a URL where your blog lives, and you could just write all day long, but that doesn't mean anybody's seeing it. So how did you build an audience?
Well, first of all, in this day and age, for anybody who's had a blog several years ago, it's a little different now with all the social media. I would say it's like 20% blogging and like 80% marketing. Like it's so much getting it out there, because if people don't know where to find it, it's not their fault. It's not that they don't like you, they just don't know where to find you. So number one of the first things I read when I was doing my own Pinterest research of how to start a blog, which is literally all I did for hours at night, I just looked up articles of other bloggers that shared how they started and started learning the lingo and and I knew nothing. I knew nothing about web anything. But one of the things that I kept seeing was your content needs to be helping people. Nobody other than your family wants to read, life updates on your kids 3 times a week. Like, unless it is a story that someone can relate to that can help them, or, in some way you got to be helping people, or no one's going to care. Like, more or less.
Katie, does that mean that even on, say, Facebook, if you were going to post something about your kids, you should be thinking in the back of your mind, how would whatever I'm putting up right now help someone?
Well, only like in the instance of a blog. Like if personally, of course, do whatever you want, and the people who your circle is going to love you and care about you no matter what you write. But if you want to grow your audience, you're going to want something that people can relate to and people are going to be interested in.
Okay. So write content. So number 1, learn from others. Get the lay of the land by studying everybody else. Number 2, make sure you write content that helps people.
Definitely. And I will say that people come up to me all the time and say, like, well, I just want to start a blog. I just want free stuff like you. And, like, I think I'll just do that. And I'm like,
yeah,
definitely do it. But please never forget, like, you can learn how to do anything on the internet. There's people have already done it and written about it. And you can Google anything and learn so much. Like, I've Googled my way through most of this.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Okay, so do it for the right reasons is what I think I hear you saying.
Yeah, definitely use your experiences to help other people.
Okay, so now you talk about marketing, and that's about like really building up that audience. How do you get people to read this? Where do you market? Where do you post? All of that I think is that like abyss of complete unknown and hell zone where everyone just goes, I just wrote the best blog of my life and I don't know what to do now.
Okay, so the first thing I did was on day one, I started social media accounts for my blog. Um,
Say
or
that again. You started social media accounts.
I started a Facebook page for my blog. I started a Twitter account. Uh, I made sure I had all the social media platforms and that everything was consistent. So, like I'm Katie M. Crenshaw on like all the social media, and I made sure I had all my accounts set up. I joined multiple blogger groups on Facebook where I just literally typed in blog or mom blog, or like I found groups on Facebook to join, and watched other people talk about their blogs and what they did, and occasionally, I'm sorry.
Katie,
Yeah,
is the reason that you join those blogger groups just to be part of the conversation and just listen?
it was to learn. Yeah, uh,
Okay.
originally, and then a lot of those groups they have like follow for follow threads or share trains or whatever where you can drop a link and then people will share it, or so it's good to kind of just get to know people. I would say uh, maybe the most important thing I've done as a blogger is network with other bloggers.
Mm.
That's huge, 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 and you cannot be afraid to reach out to them. Like, make yourself friends with other bloggers. Like, I just got back from a weekend trip to Houston where I just went and met these girls that I only knew through blogging that I've never met,
Yeah.
and they've helped me so much. It's so important to network.
Katie, I just want to say, and I just shout out to everybody else, this is key, everyone. And people are so afraid of reaching out.
Yeah.
That's how I met Katie.
Yeah.
We saw her blog. We thought it was amazing. We read up on her story, so we reached out and said we want to interview you on the podcast, and she said yes. Like, not everyone's going to say yes, but this is how fast it can happen. This is how fast you can make friends with people. So don't be afraid of that. I'm really glad that you said that, Katie, because I think it's key. It's key. Decide who you want to meet and go and meet them.
Yeah, definitely. You have to
Yeah.
be intentional with everything.
You have to what? Say
You
that
have to be
again?
intentional to be successful.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, love it. Keep going. So you said one of the most important things that you did was network with other bloggers. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Find bloggers I mean, on Instagram is a great way. Any kind of social media, it's just great. Reach out. They're also usually willing to help you. And in these blogger groups, there's tons of bloggers, all kinds of different bloggers, and they're always constantly asking questions and multiple people answer, so you get to see lots of different ways people do things. I learned a lot that way. And then when it was time to share a blog post, that's a format for sharing, but also I shared with my friends. I texted a few of my friends and said, if you like this post, will you share it with your friends? And Facebook is a really quick way for something to get spread around on a small viral scale. I wrote one of the first blogs I wrote was 10 things a postpartum mom actually wants. And it was like a funny, kind of satirical, whatever. And it was true, but it was funny, and a lot of moms could appreciate it. Well, I was in a mom group of like 18,000 women, and I had one of my friends share my post. I didn't want to because I didn't want it to look like self-marketing, but it was relative, and I thought people would really like it. It wasn't like I was dropping like, I don't know, some kind of like recipe in there just to self-promote. I really thought people would like it. So she shared it, and then like thousands of women in the group shared it on their personal Facebook pages, and it got really popular.
So Katie, talk a little bit more about that. When you said ask your friend to share, can you explain that? Because is that some little automated thing that you did, or you literally just reached out to your friend and said, could you share this with your people?
I just asked, if you think this is good, don't do it just because it's me, but if you think this is funny and that your friends on your Facebook page would like it, would you share the link on your page?
Well, is that when you say that you asked your friends to share? Did you go, for example, did you do one post to all your friends in Facebook and say, hey, if you find this valuable? Okay, was this a private message to?
I literally text them on my phone and was like,
got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Ask friends to share. See, this is the stuff people don't know, and they think there's some kind of trick to this. And you're saying you just went out to your buddies and said, if you think that this would be valuable and you do indeed like it, can you share it with your friends? Because I'd like to get it out there.
I mean, that's how Ellen DeGeneres gets her guests. I mean, social media is like where things catch on. And so, how do I know that, 10 of her friends aren't going to share it and then 10 of their friends are going to share it? So, it's really the easiest way to do it, to
Yeah.
market, I guess.
And then were you strategic about which friends you asked? Are these ones that are big influencers or mommy bloggers?
I didn't know so many of them at the time. I was just sending it to other mom friends that I was not strategic. I just thought moms influence moms. Other moms influence me all the time. So I just sent it to mom friends who would love it and would repost it. So that was what I did first. And then let me know. I can move
Yes,
on to
please keep going, keep going. Perfect. You're doing great.
and so then through some blogging groups, like just kind of lurking and seeing like what other people were doing, people were starting to like be like, oh yay, I got accepted to post on the Huffington Post and blah blah blah. So I was like, I wonder how hard that is to get done. So somebody actually blogged about how to get published on the Huffington Post, and I read their blog, and it basically said the exact email you needed to email to, and what they did. So I did that. I submitted a blog to the Huffington Post, and they approved it. And then at that point, I
Wait,
became. Go ahead.
you just picked the blog that you thought, had you already gotten traction on that blog?
Um, yes, I'm trying to remember.
Not the blog, the post.
Post it first. Yeah, I already knew it was something people might like. Actually, I submitted it to Scary Mommy first, and they said no. So don't ever take a no. um, and they said they weren't interested in it at the time for whatever reason. And the Huffington Post took it, and then they signed me up as like a regular contributor. So then I'm able to post whenever I want now. Um, and trying to think. I mean, that was.
No, this is totally awesome. And
Yeah.
I'm so quiet because, we're all just soaking it up. Really, it's about specific. Say that again.
I said I just tried things over and over.
But that's what this is all about. You tried things, but you were also specific. And I think that focus is really critical in your business. You need to know what it is you're trying to do so that you can reach out and do the things that would make sense. So, for example, you decided, I would like to be in the Huffington Post. I would like to be a contributor for the Huffington Post.
Yeah,
So,
actually, it was funny because I thought that was my goal by the end of the year. This was in January. I thought by the end of the year I want to be published on the Huffington Post, and so then like the next week I was like, okay, well, check.
right, well, I did that. So now what? Okay, love it. Any other types of marketing that you think that we should be doing? I've got the blogger groups. I have the identifying the publishers and the outlets where your stuff can be featured and actually asking them how to get your stuff on their blogs.
There's a lot of avenues that will feature repubs or stuff you've already blogged about, which is really easy because all you have to do is copy and paste stuff you've already blogged to submit it. And they
Can you
don't.
talk about that? I think a lot of people are concerned with that and Google algorithms and all that stuff with regards to, you don't want to always have to give new content to all the places that you're publishing your stuff.
Yeah, if you want to make an income off of freelance writing, then obviously you need original content, and that's kind of a balancing game of, do I post it on my blog or do I submit it? But if you just want to try to gather some traction, get some contacts, network, share your stuff, then there are so many sites that you can contribute to work you've already done, and they'll republish it if they like it. Like the Huffington Post, they take everything republished. They don't pay you, which is a side story that I think is stupid. But anyway, they don't pay, but they'll post your stuff. And then I've gotten jobs through people who have found me through the Huffington Post. A lot of PR firms use HuffPost parents to find mom bloggers, and then they've contacted me to work with them on other projects because they know I'm a mom blogger, and that's how that works. So it's been a good a good tool to have for sure.
Okay, good. Well, I think let's talk about the monetization of the blog piece because you just said something about Huffington Post and not paying you, and of course now I want to hear that dirt. I mean, we can't let that go. So tell me about that, and then let's get into how do we monetize this, and when did you even think you wanted to monetize it?
Well, originally I blogged for a couple months and realized that people were really liking what I had to say.
And wait, how did you know that?
I just my small scale people in groups, and I'm just watching people share my article. I'm watching people comment on it and say on social media and say that's really funny, that's really good. I
Enough for you to feel confident that your stuff's like, hey, people like it.
Yeah, I was feeling pretty good about it.
Okay, good. That's part of it.
Yeah,
Right.
so
Go on.
I've always, my wheels are always turning about how to work for myself. I am not a personality type that likes to work for other people. I like to work with people, but I like to have my own ideas and implement my own ideas. And so I'm always trying to think of ways I can work for myself doing what I love, always. And I've tried different things that I love, but it didn't feel sustainable. So I started reading that blogs could fairly easily be monetized, and looking at the different ways they can be monetized, because they can be monetized in several ways. And so the first thing I thought I would do is try to do some freelance writing for some of these websites, like Scary Mommy or something, somewhere that would feature a voice like mine that's kind of humorous and honest, you know, and try to get some gigs that way. So I tried that at first, and I didn't get, I really didn't get a lot of hits. Then through meeting other bloggers, I learned about blogger networks, who are kind of the middleman between brands and bloggers, who connect bloggers with brands to work on campaigns to market for them. So that was when I discovered sponsored posts, and that has been like the bread and butter of my blog so far.
Okay, so let's just break that down briefly. What's a sponsored post?
So a brand, brands actually, corporations in general, big brands, small shops, they're all really starting to greatly value the impact of influencer marketing. So putting an ad in a phone book isn't going to make them as much money as me sharing something on Instagram with another mom who values my opinion. She already knows me. She already likes me. She thinks I'm doing a good job at XYZ. So she's probably going to buy the product as suggested. It's super powerful in the marketing world, and I think corporations are starting to increase their marketing budgets.
Right. That word of mouth advertising is just the most powerful thing that you can get.
And bloggers are relatively cheap advertising in the world of advertising, because what pays our bills is pennies to Target or Home Depot or whatever. So it's there's tons of brands out there.
The brands actually look for the types. So this broker, as you called it, is looking to pair up writers with brands that this person would it would make sense for them to write for this brand. Is that right?
Yeah, and there's like countless networks. Like there's probably 30 networks. I'm probably a member of like at least 10. And you input all your information, you connect your Google Analytics, you give them everything on your stats in your profile, and then they'll email you if they have an opportunity. Certain sites you can actually apply for your own campaigns based on what they have listed. And then I pitch to brands. I cold pitch to brands that I want to work with too, because I want my content to all be original, and I try not to be like a billboard. Like it's more for me, like I already really want to post about going to the zoo with my kids, and I also really would love this stroller. And so I would reach out to the brand and say, I'm going to post about going to the zoo and several pictures of a stroller, and I would love to work with you. And then so that way it's what I already want to post about, and it's a product I already would buy.
So, Katie, my next question is, how important is it to you really need to already be an influencer before you can begin to monetize, correct? That's what I'm hearing. Because they
Yeah.
want you to influence your community and perhaps be a spokesperson for their product slash brand, right? But if
Yes.
you don't have any followers, then that's not all that exciting for them. Is that true?
It's kind of true. There are lots of, it's really less about numbers and more about engagement. A lot of the brands will just see how engaged your following is. I
Okay.
was working with brands when I had 600 followers on Instagram, and
Okay, excellent. And then what can someone expect to be paid for a sponsored post?
it is really all over the board. There's not a great way to, for what I want bloggers to know is that you need to just decide what it is worth that amount of time that you're taking. It depends if you're taking your own photos, if you have to hire a babysitter, if you,
Right.
how much content you have to write, styling. You have to take into consideration everything you're doing and figure out what that's worth to you. So far, I think the most I've made on a sponsored post is 500, and then depending on who it is, depending on the value of the product. Um, I don't usually work for product alone, but I have if the product was worth a lot,
Right.
uh, and it's something that I would have wanted to buy anyway, or that can save me
Yeah, but
money.
it's an important evaluation for everybody to
Don't work.
remember to evaluate, because at the end of the day, if you're going to get, it doesn't matter, like you said, $30 for a post or $500 for a post. The most important thing is that you understand what your time is worth. And if you had to hire a babysitter and do X, Y, and Z in order to get $30 for a post, and you
No.
didn't make any money, you actually lost money, then you can see that's not a proposition that's going to work for you. And I think sometimes we just get excited about it. And perhaps in the beginning, you might do something like that while you're trying to gain some traction. But at the point where you say you want to monetize and you want to make money from it, you've got to do that financial evaluation,
Definitely.
right? So,
Definitely.
okay, I want to hear a couple things. This is so valuable. The truth is that I want to sit here with you for like the next 3 hours because I have about 100 questions, but I know there's a couple that I really want to get to.
Okay.
Okay, so what pisses you off about the Huffington Post?
Well, the kind of like the blogger like feeling about the Huffington Post is that they have money to pay their contributors,
Mm,
as they are, and they don't. So, I mean, that's the only thing. There are a lot of websites who pay for original content and
yeah.
not republished content, but Huffington Post doesn't even pay for original content. So, so
It
that's my
is an
wonder.
honor. It is an honor to be on the Huffington Post, don't you know that?
Like you might think it is, but actually, like more renowned writers think it's actually like the least talented contributing writers in the industry. So it was
Well,
just
because people aren't getting paid, right? People aren't getting paid. So you're having to crank this. Yeah, okay. So fully got that communication.
yeah.
Um, okay, and then before, I mean, my gosh, I think I want to talk about your first viral post, and I want to talk about some of that nasty press that you got because that can be really scary for a blogger. And I don't think that you can ever totally prepare for it, but you can at least know that that stuff that can happen probably will happen so that you can be geared up for it. So let's talk about that. Let's talk
Uh,
about your first viral post first.
okay, and this was like smaller viral, but still, it took off really fast. So when I say viral, it took off really fast, and my views skyrocketed. My page views skyrocketed because it was getting shared all over Facebook. So this was my post about what postpartum mom really wants. So it was a listicle type of thing. It was like 10 funny things with little blurbs
Right.
about. One of them was like, bring me coffee, bring me wine, like things like that. Bring me disposable dishes. That was one of them. So I got messages and comments
That's
from,
funny. That is so funny. I'm sorry.
yeah, well, it's funny, but then I had people telling me that like I don't care about my children because
Right.
I don't care about the ecosystem because I want throwaway plates and um, like
You're like, I didn't say they couldn't be environmentally friendly people.
Yeah, and one of them said to babysit for date night, and people were like, "I can't believe you would leave your children to prioritize your husband." And I was like, "Who are these people?" But and people were just really mean, and of course they attack my parenting because it's about mothering, and so of course everybody comes in and shames me for drinking coffee or wine or using paper plates or whatever. They just ripped my funny article to shreds.
And how many people saw this article? Do you know?
I I don't know. I'd have to go look and add it all up. I'm
I
not
mean,
sure.
was it like 5,000 or like 100,000 or?
Uh, it was definitely more than 5,000. It would have been thousands. I don't know, a lot. It
It
was a
was,
lot.
and
And
so
I
you got a lot of nasty comments. And what did that do to you? Like in the first instance, before you kind of coached yourself through it, like what happened to you?
Well, that was actually one of the first times I reached out to bloggers on my blogger Facebook groups. And I was like, hey, I don't ever say anything, but I just had an article go on the Huffington Post and the comments are really mean and I just cried myself to sleep and they're like, "Oh, honey, don't read the comments." Like everybody was like they've already been there, and they're like, "Don't ever read the comments." And I was like, "Yeah, I won't ever again." But so then I was like, "This
That
is
has to be pretty heart-wrenching, though. I mean, you're making light of it, but isn't that like heart-wrenching?
oh yeah, I mean, of course I'm not easily bothered by what other people think about me. So for somebody else, it could be like way worse. But for me, it was bad. And I was like, maybe I just shouldn't do this anymore. I mean, of course, you always have the fleeting thought, like, it's not worth it. Like, I don't want to do it. But that was
Well, but
nothing
that's a big deal. That's a big deal when, even though it was only a moment in time and you totally got through it. And that's the thing we all have to remember is it's just a moment in time. But in that moment, you felt defined. You felt like people were defining you as something that wasn't you.
well, yeah, it presented the most difficult part about blogging, which is that people are going to interpret things how they want to and you can't control it, which was the
Yeah.
hardest part to grasp as a blogger for me, especially with the article about my daughter.
Yeah.
So.
Ah. Well, that's a whole thing. We didn't really even talk about that yet. It's like, was that your most viral? That was your most viral post
That
ever,
was
right?
super viral, yeah. And
Okay.
that
I
was
think we should, oh, nice phone. Phone. That's everybody calling saying, I want to know more about this piece. So I
oh,
think we should spend a minute or two, I think, on why that post went so viral because I think that's the critical part. Everybody can really read the story, and this is about her incredible daughter, Charlie, and why it went viral. Do you want to just talk briefly about it?
yeah. Okay, so quickly, my daughter has a large birthmark on her face. She she's 10 months old now. It came up after she was born, and I wrote a blog about the reactions that I was getting, a blog post about the reactions I was getting to it from friends, family, and strangers. And it was kind of just me venting as a mom, saying that she is beautiful either way, and that I don't need you to assume that because she has this, that she's going to have like a bad life or problems with bullies. Like people were just felt very sorry for her. So I just basically vented about it. A friend of mine encouraged me to post it on the Mighty, which is geared towards a lot of parents with children with special needs, thinking that some of those moms could relate, and they did. I posted it, they reposted it, and then from there, Scary Mommy got it, and then all the other large networks took it, and so it went super viral, and then my traffic obviously went way up, and
Because your position on it was that why are we even spending time on this?
so
Just
why is that the topic of conversation? And
right.
little I know, I thought perhaps some people in my exact position would understand, but I wound up with hundreds of emails from all over the world, multiple countries in different languages of other moms in Turkey and Brazil, and who have been through something with their child, whether it was autism or cerebral palsy or whatever made their child a little different, and having to deal with people's shallow, comments and stuff.
And I think people just even our shallow comments even just come from not knowing. And so I think what you've done is really bring attention to something that's really important, which is no different than when you see someone, see the person. Don't see the color of their skin. Don't see, I mean, not don't see it, like you can't not notice it, but why does it have to define who they are, and why do we have to like have this conversation? And I think the thing that I want everyone to leave with, because they can all go read the story and I'll have you give your information so that everyone can get it, because the position is so powerful. You took such a strong, unique position on this. But it speaks to the success of your blog is about dealing with real life experiences and not being afraid to say what's there for you. Good, bad, it doesn't matter what other people think. We're not talking about being, what is it called? I can't speak English today. Throwing, caution to the wind. And I'm not talking about getting butt naked on your, YouTube channel. That's not what this is about. It's about being transparent and open and honest about your positions, sharing something that perhaps somebody else may be going through too. And if you package it up all pretty and formal and you don't say what's really there for you, then we all miss out on the value of your experience. And I think that's what you did so powerfully, was that.
Yeah, I think we live in a time with social media and the comparing game that mom shaming is such a big problem, and I wanted to have a place where we could laugh about it and we could talk about sometimes we want to drink wine at 1 p.m. and it's okay to not want to be a stay-at-home mom, and I wanted to have a place where it was okay to talk about everything and laugh about everything. And
can you please give everyone your whatever links you want them to have, your blog or otherwise? I just want to make sure that everybody gets where you want them to go, because I think everybody needs to know Katie Crenshaw, not because she's trying to monetize her blog, but because through her blog she's empowering people, and that's why she has the opportunity to monetize her blog. And I think that's the key to all of this.
Definitely. And you don't have to like automatically have a huge following. You don't have to go viral. You can still monetize your blog. You're still valuable. So we need to do a whole series.
I know. That's how I feel right now. Okay, so can you give them your link?
Yeah. What do I do?
Oh, just say it out loud.
Okay. It's just 12and6.com, spelled out, the numbers.
Yeah, 12, everybody. TWELVE and AND 6 blog.com.
Not blog, just 12and6.com.
Whoops, no blog. 12 and 6, all spelled out, .com.
Yep.
Perfect.
You can get all my social media from there. So.
Oh, and she's really fun to follow on Instagram. All your stuff is so great. I've had an opportunity to read multiple articles. Before we end, what are you most excited about right now, coming up, or what you've got going on?
Well, Charlie's first birthday is coming up, so that's like a big deal for me. Like, honestly,
milestone, my God.
Yeah, I can't believe that it's almost been a year, but so I'm really excited about planning that. And then I'm really hoping to eventually make some more headway and network with some more people that are doing a lot to change the face of beauty. There are a few foundations that are already out there, and because of how much exposure that got and how many people connected with me, I realized that there is a need for that voice more than I thought there was. And so eventually I would like to connect with some of those people. And
well, I am so happy to hear you say that, and I want to obviously stay connected with you. We have a large group of women that we market to, especially through my email list. They're all mompreneurs and women entrepreneurs, and this conversation is important for them too. So I'd love to share you with all of them and stay in your world. Do you have any final thoughts that you want to share with everybody?
My favorite thing to tell people that I will teach my kids, that is like kind of everything that what I've lived by in my adult life, is that it's never too late or too early to start over. So if you can always try things, because you can always quit things, and that sounds terrible, but you can always try things, and if it doesn't work, you don't have to stick with it, but it could work out and it could be amazing, and so you should always jump.
I love it. And we have one life to live, right? I mean, we may as well just go for it.
And always time.
I know. I'm so honored to have had you here today. I feel that we're all going to benefit from what you're doing currently, what you're going to do in the future, what there is to learn about the position that you've already taken in the world. What an incredible mom you are. You know your liabilities and your assets. I think that is all critical. Whatever your blog is about, everyone, I just want to say, be authentic and transparent and share what you know everybody needs and wants to know. Share what you wanted to know.
Yeah.
And if you come from that place, then you're going to be successful. Katie, thank you so much. You are amazing.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I hope you'll come back. That would be great.
If we have
Okay.
like 3 hours, so I can like talk your face off. I'm
Good. Well, no, I have so many other ideas, and we'll talk about later. But to everybody else, if you have a business idea that you want some advice on, or you just want some tips and tricks to being successful, please subscribe to Pitch Me Moms. Spread the word. Tell your friends. We have incredible guest experts, and moms have an opportunity to pitch their own business ideas, and I'll talk through whether or not their business idea is viable, but whether or not they're viable. Because part of being successful, whether it's a blog, whatever the business is your viability, your attitude, your mental state, and your day-to-day behaviors. So we're going to work on all of that at Pitch Me Moms. Have an incredible day. Thank you, Katie. Thanks to everybody else. See you next time. Bye.